It's 2:37 a.m. and I'm Deconverted Man, and if you're listening to me now, you are awake at a weird time, and so am I. Anyways, so time to respond to text exchanges with following Christ. Um, who, if you know, I've been having a video exchange back and forth. Haven't even worked on the second part of the first part of it's a whole thing. But at any rate, we had an exchange where I said, I want to debate him, and regardless if he wants to debate or not, we should have a talk. And his response was that he debates every Sunday with atheists on the corner, the open square thing, but he finds all the atheists' arguments are emotional and all this, and all this was to kind of like say I don't really want to debate you because of that. And I'm like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. I mean, what's the difference between debating me online and debating all these random people in real life? Like, you're sacrificing one Sunday to talk to me. So this doesn't really make sense. And even if I have an emotional reason for deconverting, which, I mean, it's a small, tiny part of my deconversion, but he wants it to be a bigger deal than it is, whatever. Even if that was the case, even if all atheists had emotional reasons for deconverting, that doesn't make it false, and it doesn't matter. So I don't really think that that's what's going on. And that's fine. You don't want to debate, you don't have to debate. That's fine. What about just having a conversation? Now, a talk, a discussion, to explore each other's ideas. He doesn't seem to really want to do that. He said he's got studies and whatnot. Okay, fine. But, it's just, I find it odd. Anyways, so let me share what he wrote here because, why not? So I wrote everything I basically just said here. Us talking about the debate, or me thinking about where he, was talking about debates and all that. So I challenged him again and to a debate, and he said, I said, yeah, why? Even if you decline, I think we should talk. Because it would be good to do that, and see if we've learned anything from each other from our video exchanges. And he's mentioning the ones that have disappeared. Kazami just made a video about YouTube's comments being vanishing and disappearing, and it's a whole nother topic to complain about, I guess. Whatever. Anyways, he's busy with assignments. Okay, so I guess this Sunday he's not going to go debate, even though he said every Sunday he debates. So I guess Sundays when he doesn't have assignments, he goes to debate. But he doesn't want to get drawn into the YouTube gotcha world where people are just trying to win instead of seeking truth and knowledge. But you go every Sunday to talk to atheists who apparently are in a gotcha world where they're just trying to win. You complained about how they are emotional reasons that they have for deconverting. They always complain about the church and the Bible, and they don't really seem to have a logical response. But yet you go every Sunday, or most Sundays at any rate, and you debate them. So what's the difference? What's the difference? Why do that and not do the YouTube thing? So even if you lose, so what? Or even if it seems like the other person declares victory or whatever, who cares? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter any more than the real life thing. It's the same. So I don't know. It's I think that, I'm starting to wonder if you actually go Sunday and do that open square thing where you talk to these people. Maybe you're just aware of it. Maybe you've listened to that. Have you participated? I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it seems odd to me. It just doesn't really add up. Okay. Also, I'm not interested in gotcha games either. I'm only interested in, well, I'm interested in a lot of things. I'm interested in why people believe what they believe, and if you doubt that, well, um, here's my playlist of talks I've had with theists. Now, not all of them are purely theists. Like here's Matt Slick, putting up his arms because he's so smug. He does that. Here's me talking to rational theists and whatever. And then my brother and I talk about God, and then I had a philosophy talk with Sutherman. I talked to some guy called Some Account about proofs of God. And then because my brother showed up to talk, I include this in my theist because my brother's a theist. Um, this guy, Jesus is the Lord, he is coming back. Talk to me. I lose it. I did lose my cool in that one. I talked to Jungle Jargon. Then Some Account Man and I talk more. Craig Reed and talk about the void and stuff and whatever. I talked to S.J. Thomason. I talked to John Buck. I talked to John Buck again. Then I talked to this guy, Grave to the Flame. I talked to a Gosh Jewish mother. I talked to John Buck again. I talked to Robert Champrino, the Trinity Solution, Dry Apologist, and Wet Deconverted, because I'm, come on. I talked to Alien Mistro about why atheists are dumb. And I talked to another theist. I talked to this guy. I talked to this guy. I talked to this. I talked to him. I talked to him. I talked to them. I talked to him. I talked to him. I talked to him. I talked to him. Etc. 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 So I've talked to theists, and some of those are interviews, and some of them are discussions, and some of them turn into crap fest because I lost my emotional control and had a mental meltdown. And I'm doing pretty good with emotions these days. I haven't had a meltdown in a while, and I don't think I will have one. But hey, it could happen, And so what? If it does, then you get to walk away and be like, that guy online, he just lost his cool, So what? Just makes you look good. Doesn't make me look good. But you'll notice it's still up there, even though I don't look good in that video. Why do I leave that up there then? Anyways, so I am suspecting would be a fruitful conversation. Well, that's nice. So what? Who cares? Let's say it's unfruitful. So, what does it matter? Is that any different than the people you talk to in real life? Like, you're not going to change their minds. You're not going to change minds here. Maybe you will, though. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But you're just saying this. It's just it doesn't add up. I think that this is, just say I don't want to talk to you. Okay, fine, whatever. But I don't know. I think you close yourself off for anything that isn't atheism. Oh yeah. Well, I don't know what that means. What are you talking about? What? I mean, I talk about science. I talk about logic. I talk about philosophy. Every now and then I talk about social issues, but my primary focus is informal logic. So that's my main deal. Atheism is there, but I'm not closed off to anything. The thing is that my standards of believing in anything is the same across the board. And your belief in God is one of the things that I happen to be skeptical of. But there's other things I'm skeptical of because they don't meet the requirements that I have for the epistemology I hold, which is simple. There's three things that I require. And you need one of these three things to convince me that anything is true. And this is true for everything, whatever it is. Empirical evidence, repeatable test, a sound argument. Those are the three things. If you have any of those three things, then I will believe you. I will believe the idea. I will believe that it's true. Of course, I'll have questions. I'm going to be scrutinizing these things. And if you have the truth, there's nothing to worry about because I'll just find out that it's more true. The deeper I dig, the more truth I will find in it. So we shouldn't be worried when somebody has an epistemology like this. Now, I can expand what I mean by those three things if you need to, but at any rate, what matters is the argument. What time is it? It's 2:48 a.m., Robin. I know. It's I don't know why I'm up this late or early. It's just, it's a thing. Yeah. All right. Where was I? Okay. The Bible says not to throw my pearls to swines. Oh, that's nice. It also says to always be ready to give the hope, reason for the hope you have, but whatever. I don't think you're a pig or anything. Well, then why tell me that? I mean, why say that then? Like, obviously I'm a swine, that's fine. Oink, oink, whatever. But what means for me to not engage with the complete people who are completely closed off? That's interesting. The Bible says don't throw the pearls before swine. And what that really means for real is don't talk to people who are completely closed off. Now, I wonder as a skeptic why it didn't just say don't talk to people that are closed off rather than coding it in weird language. But that's just me, a picky skeptic. If I was God and I was inspiring people to write stuff down, I'd be like, okay, we're gonna aim for precision of language here, and and I'd say, look, don't talk to people who are completely closed off. Don't waste your time with that. But then there's a problem here, okay? And I'm God in this scenario, right? The problem is I know when people are 100% closed off because I'm God. I have access to that knowledge. The human, however, is not. They don't have that access. So unless I'm willing to tell every human when they encounter a different human that human is 100% closed off and not bother to talk to them, then they're not going to know who is or isn't closed off. So at the very least, I should provide them with some sort of methodology to find out if the person is or isn't closed off. Here's a list of criteria to look at and see if they are. Here, Robin, take this. I've got 5 questions that I'd like you to answer here. And, depending on those answers, I can score you, find out if you're 100% closed off or not. Okay, cool. Now, the problem, of course, being God, I also understand that not just the believer is going to read the Bible here that I'm telling them to make, because for whatever reason, I don't want to tell everybody all the time what to believe. I just want it to be written in a book somewhere because that makes sense. But at any rate, in this odd scenario where I'm God, I also recognize that people that don't believe are going to read this book and they're going to see this list that I've provided for them. And then they're going to be like, they're going to answer the questions and seem like they're open, even if they're not really open, because they want to fool the person into wasting their time with them because they're a closed off person. But, so I got to come up with a system that, the more I think about it, maybe this whole thing is a bad idea. Maybe I shouldn't tell people not to talk to people that are closed off because there's no way that the human's going to know that they're closed off. So instead, I'm going to say, talk to people to understand what they believe and why. Analyze their ideas, look for the data, do research, gather as much information about it, and or rely on research that's already been done, and do the best that you can to come to a conclusion that seems to be the best conclusion, utilizing the best methods that you have available to you, and know that you can be wrong about that. Maybe that would be what I would tell them, but then again, I wasn't God and I'm not God, so I didn't write any of that. But I don't know. Anyways, going back to this. All right, I could be wrong. Well, you are, but I suspect from your deconversion story that I had pain where I didn't get the support I wanted, which then opens you up to deconversion distractions and possibly offense. Well, now, like I said, now I shared my deconversion and some mussing story with him, which is on my YouTube channel still. Uh, I don't even remember what I said in that now. It's been, years since I made that one. Maybe I need to make an update to one. I also have a book, Caught Between an Infinite Hope and a Finite Despair, which goes into far more detail than that video does. And I would say just my own internal view of my deconversion story, that the emotional element is like, I don't like to quantify things, but I'd say like 2% or whatever. It's a meaningless statistic. It's a small portion of my deconversion. I looked into the evidence for Christianity. I didn't find any. I turned to apologetics and learned those arguments, but I also learned informal logic as I was doing that and saw these arguments suck. So the only thing left was the emotional element, the connection I had with God, which when I was low point in my life and I was crying in the corner of my room, salt tears. That's how hard I was crying. I could feel the salt coming out of my eyeballs. It hurt. And I was calling out to God, crying for help, crying for a reassurance that God loved me, cared about me, etc. And to walk back a bit, other times when I had prayed to God and I was calm, I would ask God every now and again, not every time, but a lot, enough times that I, knew that this was a thing. I would ask God for like a little zap, a little, let me reassurance. And then I'd feel this sensation up and down my spine. And it felt good. And it was like, there's God responding to me. So go back now to this moment that I'm in the corner. And now I need God in my desperate time of desperate emotional need. And I call out, give me that little zap. And nothing happens. Utter silence. So, considering that I had absolutely no evidence that Christianity was true and no logical arguments that Christianity was true, I now had no spiritual reassurance that it was true. So I deconverted. I had to let go. I had to concede that there wasn't a God, because the alternative was that God didn't care about me at all, which could have also been true. It's only later, way later from that moment, when I came to realize that that sensation that I had up and down my spine is only achievable when I am calm. I cannot do that sensation when I am not calm. And I say I do the sensation because I know how to cause it, and I can do it when I want now. Because it was, the thing is, I thought it was God, but it was me. It was always me. And I didn't learn that until after deconversion. The feeling that I thought was God was always me. But that, from a believer's perspective, you have to believe that God allowed me to think that a feeling that I was producing was God, and that when I needed God the most, that God didn't give me what I needed. So God let me deconvert. Why? And if you want a truly emotional story, read Langston Hughes's Salvation. And I'll just summarize it. It's a great essay, but it's, he goes as a young boy to church, expecting and wanting Jesus to come from him. He never feels that. So he pretends and goes along. And then he cries because he feels like Jesus doesn't care about him. So why did God not come for Langston Hughes? See, there's a reasonable explanation for that under the naturalistic, materialistic, normal, real world that we actually live in that the feeling of God is produced by your brain. And some brains cannot produce this feeling. And the feeling can only be produced under the right conditions, like being calm. The supernatural explanation is God lets people feel God, even if they don't call it the right name, God. They call it, not Yahweh, they call it Allah, or they call it Shiva, or they say the spirit mother, or they call it, ancestors, or whatever. It doesn't matter to this being. It will allow people to sometimes feel it on certain occasions. So that doesn't make any sense. The supernatural explanation is not an explanation, whereas the natural one, where humans are really good at imagination and really good at feeling feelings and producing those feelings in our brain and then calling those feelings God, that makes way more sense than there actually being a God that just lets us feel whatever sometimes. Anyways, but yeah, let's keep going. My channel is to help apostates. No, not really. I mean, if it does do that, that's cool. But my channel, if it's about anything, it's about logic. But even that's kind of weird because I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. But most of the time you're baiting people of faith. Walls. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm baiting you now. What do you mean by that? Like, yeah, I've had all these conversations with theists, but I'm just baiting you. No, I'm responding to the logical fallacies that people of faith like you produce and pointing out why they are illogical and telling them to fix their broken argument. Because it was people like you making these broken arguments that was part of my deconversion. So people like you who were illogical deconverted me in part. So it's kind of, in a way, it's your fault that I'm deconverted man. Not directly, but you are doing the same thing now that would have helped me deconvert back then by doing illogic. So really, I'm trying to help you, the theist, not be illogical so that you deconvert less people. But if you really want to think that I'm here to deconvert people or whatever, I can't change your mind on your viewpoint. You're wrong. I don't want people to deconvert. I really don't. Because I know it was painful for me. I don't know if it will be painful for them. I'm fine with people believing God as long as they also use actual logic, which you didn't do in your first video that I responded to. And you are still not doing in your response videos that I'm now responding to. And you are still not doing logic as you respond in text to me. As I'm desperately trying to tell you, fix your logic, learn logic, use logic, you come up with reasons that you don't need to talk to me because, I'm closed minded or whatever. Anyways, I could spend an hour chatting with you or with you trying to beat me, or I can study your professor's work. Well, thank you for putting me at the level of a professor. I appreciate that. I didn't know I was that smart, but sure, yeah. But what are you afraid of? I mean, if you have the truth, then you shouldn't worry about. And if I do beat you, so what? Who cares? You tried your best. There's nothing saying that you can't do both. You can spend an hour debating me and then do another hour of professor's work. I mean, you could do both. But you'll learn more from me than the professor because obviously I'm smarter than the professor. I'm going to put myself above the professor because I'm, egotistical. Sure, why not? Forgive my bluntness. No, I'm not going to, but okay. And I say this not to cause of any offense. Oh, look, it's been my experience in life that anytime anyone says, not to offend you, but whatever follows that is going to offend you. No offense, but okay, look, if you have to preface it, it is going to be offensive. So just don't say it, whatever it is. If you find yourself saying, no offense, but, or this might be racist, but, just don't say that next part. In fact, don't even say the first part. Just keep it in your head. You didn't study for a quiz, Robin. Oh man. Have you read the Bible? What if his electric was out? What the heck are you talking about, Robin? Robin's lost it. I don't know what you're talking about. Pay raise? I don't know. This is in reference to things I said and I didn't notice them. I'm sorry, Robin. All right. Just tell them God hardened my heart. Well, yeah, I mean, Anyways, okay. But I think you should forgive people. Who says I don't forgive people? What are you talking about? I mean, it depends on the person and what they did, but sure, I forgive people. What? Huh? And forgive God and turn back to Christ. There's nothing to forgive God about. There is no Christ to turn back to. These things don't exist. I'm not mad at God for not existing. And I'm over being upset at myself. I'm way over that. Maybe for the first year I was kind of angry at myself, angry at the world, maybe even angry at God, quote unquote. But that, everybody has their year of angry atheism that they go through. That's years ago for me. I've been an atheist for what? 13, 14 years. Let's see, 32. I'm 46, whatever that is. Let's see, 40. 14. Okay, 14 years of deconvertedness of, yeah. That's how long I've been a skeptic. So minus 1 year where I was angry. So 13 years of being a non-angry atheist I've had now. I'm pretty comfortable, actually. There is no God for me to forgive. There is no God for me to go back to at all. And if you want to demonstrate there is, cool, but you're going to have to use logic and reason or give me empirical evidence or a repeatable test. Those first two, I know you don't have those. I already know you don't have those. So we're just going to skip to the sound argument that maybe you have. You don't, because I've already heard that you don't understand what atheism is, and nor do you seem to want to accept what atheism is. But also, the arguments you did provide for God are full of logical fallacies, but they were made by other people that aren't you. You personally might have an argument of your own, but of course, the only way for you to actually have a sound argument would be to know the system that makes arguments, which is informal logic. So if you do not know informal logic, the likelihood that you're going to be able to produce a sound argument is infinitesimally small. It is equivalent to try to win chess when you just learn the rules against a chess master. Maybe you could do it, but I'm not going to bet on it. And away from atheism, new atheism movement. Okay, I don't know what the new atheism movement is. Okay, there is no new atheist. There's atheists. I don't know when this term came around or why. Being an atheist, there's nothing new about it. Anyways, feeds people's pride. Oh no, not our pride. Anything but pride. Oh my God, what's wrong with being prideful? If you've done a good job, what's wrong with that? As long as you don't go too far, you should have pride in your accomplishments, whatever they are. I mean, I don't see a problem with that. Now, even if this is true, what's your argument? You don't have one. Okay. I imagine that deep down you know God is real. Well, I imagine that you're wrong. I don't know that God is real deep down, not even a little. There, deep down, I imagine that lobsters exist. But then I actually explore that and go, yeah, lobsters do exist. But this is the typical apologetic trope. This is very typical of theists. Deep down, you know there's a God. No, I don't. But you want that to be true. You need that to be true because that makes you feel better about your beliefs. But no, I don't think there's a God. And if I did, it wouldn't be Yahweh. So it still wouldn't be a win for you. Tell you what, I'm open to every God except for yours. Your God is weird, by the way, because you told me that the only thing, in fact, I don't even know that you believe in God. You told me that you're a Christian and that the only thing, well, you didn't really tell me you're a Christian, but I'm thinking you're a Christian. But you told me the only thing you have to do to be a Christian is to believe that Jesus died and came back. So under that system, there is no God. There's just Jesus who died and came back. And that's all you have to believe in. So believing in God doesn't make me a Christian then. So I'm still not in your club. So I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do here. Those are my thoughts. I hope they're not too inflammatory. Well, they are, but whatever. I don't care. I've seen it before. I'm only saying all this because I don't think anyone else in your world will. God bless you. Well, you know, I said, look at all the talks I've had with theists. In fact, this comment you made is so rubbish, I think I'll have to respond to it live. And here we are. Now, this comes full circles, and now this is my response to it. Now, I had a thing up a while back where I just complained about this guy, and I deleted that video. This video is not getting deleted. This is staying up. He is desperate to not talk to me. And that's fine. I can't force him to do it. I can't force him to debate me. I think that it's kind of telling what he is saying in his comments. I think that he keeps misunderstanding atheism deliberately because it's easier to deal with the pretend version of atheism than the real version of atheism. I think it's easier to believe that your opponent has beliefs that you share than to believe that they really don't. That's easier. You talk about wanting an open mind, yet you don't want to expose your mind to ideas that could change it. I looked for the evidence of my religion. It happened to be Christianity. It could have been anything. I didn't find any. And I looked for the logic of it, and I didn't find any. I looked to God, and I didn't find any. So that's it. There's no going back until I have a sound argument or the first two, which nobody has. Nobody has that. Nobody has empirical evidence or repeatable tests for God. Although I did have one Muslim tell me lately, die not believing in Allah and find out, which isn't really a test because you can only die once. But isn't that interesting? The Muslim thinks that you and I are both wrong. And if Allah is real, we're both fucked. And in fact, one of your comments talked about the Quran. And I asked you, I said, are you now believing in Allah? Let's see if I can find that one, because that's relevant. I shut it down because I'm an idiot. Okay, where are we? Dude, where's your answer? Let's see if I can find that. Hold on. All right. Let's see. It wasn't this one. I think it was. I want to say 3. 1, 2. Oh, he's got a new video. Oh, I have to respond to that now. No, it wasn't 3. Was it 2? It's in here somewhere. It's one of these videos. I'll just open each one. There, that's what I'll do. Nothing but professionalism here, folks. I know what I'm doing. Pretend like I know what I'm doing. Okay, let's see. Is it there? Nope, not there. Where is it? Nope, not there. Must be this one then. Unless it's deleted. Here we go. Found it. Yay! I'm awesome. Everything that's awesome. Everything that's cool. What is that song? That's the Lego movie song. I know. I'm wasting your time. I apologize. Now. New atheism refers to Dawkins, Harris, Bennett, and Hitchens. Yeah, but they're not new. They're anyways, whatever. Anyways, in Islam, the phrase Allah has sealed their hearts refers to a state where a disbeliever or hypocrite is unable to accept guidance or truth, not because Allah forces them, but because their persistent rejection of truth has effectively sealed, quote unquote, their understanding, making it impossible to perceive spiritual realities. This sealing is a consequence of their own will and actions, which leads to their hearts, hearing, and sight becoming covered and unable to receive truth, resulting in their spiritual blindness. Oh, that's nice. So he said, that's really interesting. Thank you for sharing. I can definitely see why the sealed hearts, like in the video above. I find it interesting how they choose every option but God, laws. And I said, so then Allah is God and you're converting to Islam? Because, see, this is about Allah. See, you don't believe in Allah, Ed. So that's just because you're a disbeliever or hypocrite and you're unable to accept the truth. But that's not because of Allah. It's because your rejection of Allah and truth has sealed you, making it impossible to perceive the spirituality of Allah. So you should be an Islamist, right? That would be the logical stance if what he said is true. Because what he says applies to Allah, not Yahweh. So I guess you're an Islamist now. You have a new video. I wonder if I can hear it this time. Let's find out. Yeah. Screw it. Why not? What's those 4 comments? I got new comments. Says the guy. Y'all have a watch on a later date. Thank you. Okay, sure. I'm doing it now. Whee! He said 10 minutes ago, I'll have a watch on a later date. So I'm just saying, like, yeah, see. Here's that. There's that. See that? It's way down there. It's over there. You can't barely see it. Whatever. He said it. Don't worry about it. Okay. What's this new video? Yeah. Why not? We'll do this. Evidence for God would not involve atheism. I mean, technically, that doesn't really make sense. But anyways, all right. So what's he saying here? Atheists say there's no God. Do these 5 things and see what happens. All right, let's see if we can hear you this time.
My name is Eddie.
It's better than it was.
If you're returning to my channel, welcome back. If you're new,
why record it outside though? Why not record it inside?
If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. And I'm going to get straight into it.
Okay.
So today's video is a challenge to my atheist friends.
Okay.
Because I don't believe that you have enough reasonable evidence to believe that God isn't real. I believe that it's more to do with your emotions or you're not willing.
Okay, so it's, again, really hard to hear him. Hey, Robin, can you hear this guy? Do I need to crank the volume? Please let me know. Let's see if I can make the volume louder because it's really hard to hear.
So I'm going to challenge you with these 5 things. And if you come back to me at the end and still say to me that God isn't real, then I'll believe that you genuinely don't believe in God. But
okay, so he's going to challenge me with these 5 things. And then if I say that God isn't real after that, then he'll believe me. Okay.
Otherwise, I'm just going to take it that you're not willing or it's because of emotion, because there is so much evidence for God. Anyway, try these 5 things.
Well, I mean, didn't you try my challenge though? I had a challenge, a video called The Challenge. Have you tried that though? To get your wish? You could just wish for me to be a Christian. Sounds good? Thank you. Thank you, Robin.
So, here's my speech. Hey, atheists, not the angry TikTok types who think
Leave that out of your video.
sarcasm is a worldview. I'm talking about the real ones, the seekers, the curious, the honest doubters, the ones who say, if God is real, I'd want to know. Well, then, let's put that to the test, because I've got a challenge that might change everything. Step 1: fast, pray, and get on your knees.
For how long? For how long do I need to do this? How an hour? Half an hour? A minute? Days? Weeks? Months? Years? I need a time frame.
So, skip the food, water only. 1 day, preferably 3, even a week if you can do it. It will awaken your spiritual senses. It's not about punishment, it's about focus.
Okay, so my response to his video is to do my challenge, honestly, at this point. Why don't you go ahead and do my challenge? It's called the challenge. And you do that. And then after you do my challenge, you can just wish for me to do your challenge. And if you don't, then I'll know that you're not really interested in the truth. Okay? No, I don't want to fast at all. I have no interest in doing that, and I have no reason to do it. And if that makes me a non-seeker, okay, cool. So that's it. I guess I failed. Man, no. I'll do it, but you got to tell me how long. Though you got to give me some criteria here. But then you also need to do my challenge, which is just, where is it? There it is. Here's the call. Here it is. Had to find where it was. Let's see. Let's see. All right, the challenge. So you do the challenge, okay? You do that, and then I'll do your challenge. How's that? You do my challenge, and I'll do yours, okay? All right. We're gonna do that? No? Oh, okay.
Your spirit is buried under cravings, distractions, and dopamine junk. When you fast, you unplug all the noise and plug into something deeper. Then pray. Not performative nonsense, just this. God, if you're real, reveal yourself to me. I want to know the truth. And here's the key: get on your knees physically. It's an act of humility, a posture that says, I don't know everything, I'm listening. And guess what? The Holy Spirit is drawn to people who do this.
I already did all that. I mean, except for the fasting. Not in, I'm okay. I'm just gonna listen to the rest of this before I.
God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. If you want to hear him, kneel, fast, and pray. Step 2: read Dr. Craig Keener's Miracles. So, Dr. Craig Keener's book on miracles isn't bedtime fiction. It's over 1,000 pages of documented, medically verified eyewitness miracle reports.
Okay, so step 1, fast for an unspecified amount of time and pray on your knees, because that's really important to God. And then step 2, read a book that's going to be full of absolute nonsense. Got it. No problem.
Blind people healed, tumors gone, dead people raised. Doctors signed off on this stuff. Real professionals saying, we have no natural explanation. Dr. Craig Keener is a historian from Duke University, not your grandma's favorite Facebook prophet.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say you're all about evidence, don't dodge this one. Dr. Craig Keener is a historian from Duke University, not your grandma's favorite Facebook prophet. And if you say you're all about evidence, don't dodge this one. Step 3: forgive everyone. Yes, everyone. That abusive friend, that toxic ex, that Christian.
Okay, forgive everyone. We got it. We don't need you to cover what everyone means. We understand what the word atheism is, or atheism. Everyone is. We know that. Okay. Let's see. You won't hear God clearly until you blow them out. Be holy. God is holy. Uh, be sexually pure, including your eyes. Shut off porn. Unfollow thirst traps. Stop scrolling filth. Okay. Clean the window. Let's see. No more lazy profanity. No more bitter sarcasm. Wow. Okay, that's my whole persona, man. Let's see. Okay, so fast, pray, kneel, read miracles, forgive everyone, be holy, speech, sit with the poor, do it sincerely, and then just wait. So sit with the poor. I guess I missed that one. Oh wait. So God may not shout, he may whisper, but if you're humble and he's let's see, if you're brave enough to do the challenge, just another Dawkins fanboy, free like my ex-leader. Okay, so that's it. So that's the 5 things. Let's see. Why you're not reading the Quran? Anyways, okay. All right, so I'll do your challenge the moment you do mine, and until then, you sit with the poor right now. Yeah, I mean, Robin's poor. I'm poor. I mean, I'm sitting with the poor, so I do that one. That one's easy. This is a big bucket of nothing, and I'm not interested. I'm gonna pass on this unless you do my challenge. And you can think whatever you want to think. I don't really care anymore. This is not evidence. This is not anything. So Dr. Craig Keane, award-winning professor of theology, is all I need to know about this idiot. Okay, so they can claim whatever they want to claim in their book. I've seen books like this. I'm not interested. These claims are always anytime you put even a bit of scrutiny upon what's happening, they crumble under the weight of that. These so-called medical miracles are not. And when you go around and you document looking for the hits, you ignore the misses. So the statistics work out in your favor to say, I'm going to only pay attention to people who have recovered from illnesses, and I'm going to ignore all the ones that didn't recover from illnesses. So if you examine, tens of thousands of medical reports and you only pick the ones who recovered from the medical illness, and then you narrow that down to the ones that actually had somebody pray with them, then you get a really good number of people that you can now write a book about. I'm not impressed. When we do the statistic analysis on that, we'll get less than 1% of people who would be healed without prayer intervention at all. And metadata studies already demonstrate that intercessory prayer has zero effect on people. I don't need to read a book about that. I've already seen that it's nothing. There is a nothing there. I'm not interested in going without food, or kneeling, or talking to a thing that isn't there. If God wants to talk to us, he can do so in a way that we all recognize, not just me, but all of us at the same time. And this is utter nonsense. You are the one that's not genuine. You are the one who isn't interested in finding the truth. That's why you want to avoid talking to me. Welcome to the internet, where religion comes to die. Yeah, what if God exists but doesn't do miracles? What a waste of time. Right, exactly. Here's and of course the problem is how long are we supposed to fast for? There has to be a fail condition. You said if we do all this and we still don't believe, then you'll believe that we're legitimate. How about you just believe that I'm legitimate? How about we skip the nonsense and you just believe that I don't believe in God? How about that? Get off your high horse and get with the rest of us in the real world here. Okay? How about that? Anyways, yeah, but if he does my challenge, I'll happily do his. I'm going to leave a comment asking him critical questions that he won't answer. And I guess he'll never talk to me because, he'll hear, he just won't. That's fine. I'll finish up my series on him. Maybe I'll only do 2 videos on him. I don't know. We'll see. Right, yeah, exactly. Starve yourself until you are malnutrition enough to believe in anything. Right, yeah. No thanks. I think I'll pass. But at any rate, until next time, be skeptical, and after that, stay skeptical, because we'll certainly avoid nonsense like this. Thanks for listening.